are live and welcome to the Seven Cities Shoptalk Sports Show, broadcasting to you from the beautiful state of Virginia to everyone all over the world. I'm your host, Big Law Lawrence Johnson. And if you saw the marquee, what we have put out, there is a lot to talk about this Tuesday, as always. And for me, I know it is a treat whenever I can get one of my friends, guests on. Someone that I looked up or still look up to, met him in the press box 13 seasons ago. And I got someone that will probably give us a pretty good education on what it's about to be a Virginia follower and a Virginia supporter, writer, etc. But before I get started, I want to thank you for joining us on another episode of our brand of Dysfunctional Camaraderie. And as I said, I'm your host, Big Law, and I got my host here, my co-host in the building as well. Let me do a little bit of housekeeping. As you guys can probably tell, we got some new aesthetics. I'm going to turn the music down a little bit. Got a little music going here. We got some sound effects. There's some we got some drum rolls. We got some. This is for the Chad Wood followers. We got the booze in here, so we got explosions. So yeah, we got some good sound effects here. Everything's kind of upgraded a little bit on this dashboard. So we're really excited to get this show started, as I said. So let me go and get your opening monologues. I'm gonna start with you, Amy, our resident Hokie, who looks like you guys are really catching some fire down there in Blacksburg. How you doing, Amy?
I'm good. They don't have anything to lose because they've been losing. So they don't have anything else other to do than lose or win. So I switched back and forth between a couple games. I could not stomach watching the whole thing.
Okay. All right. Well, they look like they did well. They really did well. So let me go ahead and bring in AB. What's going on, AB? How are you doing today?
Well, I'm coming live to y'all from my bed tonight because I am exhausted, but had to get on because we had another good win. So I'm excited to talk to y'all tonight.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for coming on too. And then my man Wood. What's going on? Our resident Skip Bayless. What's going on, Wood?
Hey, Skip Bayless' job has been taken away from me, but he's not here tonight. But and where's Ed? That's my question. That's my opening monologue. Where is Ed?
So if Ed is if your Skip Bayless job has been taken, who is Ed? We're looking for you, Ed.
Ed is Ed. I want to know where Ed is.
You want to know where Ed is? Well, hopefully Ed is listening. He's probably going to pop on here in a second. But yeah, my opening monologue
is stealing Wi-Fi from the rest area.
Maybe he's trying to get on right now, actually. So what we'll do here is we'll get this party started, get it rolling here. Of course, like I said, we do have a guest today, and I'm going to bring him in. And this guy is, like I said, quite frankly, well, let me tell you his name first. Here he is. His name is Scott German. What's going on, Scott? You are live here at Seven Cities Shop Talk Sports Team. Thank you for coming on today and spending some time with us. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing well, Lawrence. I'm also dragging a little bit. The 3 a.m. baseball game last night kind of got the best of me.
Well,
but wasn't it a great game? I stayed up as well. I am exhausted and I worked today. But it was a fantastic game.
Yes, it was. As a Dodger fan, not my first favorite team, but as my second favorite team, it was well worth it.
So let me tell you, let me ask you this. Was it 18 innings?
Yes.
How many pitchers did each of them use? Just curious about that piece before we get started.
I think they said a total of 17. I believe the Dodgers may have used 8 and the Blue Jays 9. So
I think the Dodgers used everybody they had but Ohtani.
Right. Who's pitching tonight?
He's pitching tonight. I'm watching him now.
Rumor has it, and all you guys are young, so this might be a joke that doesn't hit home with you guys. Rumor has it that the Dodgers were warming Sandy Koufax in the bullpen.
Oh, is that right? Well, as you can tell, Scott is a little bit of a historian. Let me go ahead and bring him and let him kind of educate us a little bit. Scott, him and I met in the press box. I said 13 years ago, and we kind of hit it off right from the start. And you know, we've had, especially this year, quite a few of the press box mates that I meet and that I work with in the press box. And Scott is one of them, and he has a lot to share from a Virginia historical standpoint. Scott has been with the University of Virginia or connected some way or another. Was it 80 since 83, 84?
Yeah, right about 80, maybe 83. Yeah.
Okay, all right. And
Which right there gets the elephant out of the room. You know, I'm old, guys. So
right. And you have been to every bowl game that Virginia has been in since except one, right? Since 84.
the only bowl game that I did not attend in person was the Aloha Bowl, which was on Christmas Eve, and my wife gave me permission to go, but also warned me that there would be divorce papers when I came home. So they made that pretty easy decision.
Pretty clear.
Pretty clear decision that I watched that game on television.
Absolutely, I understand that. So Scott is a writer for the Agusta Free Press in Central Virginia, Waynesboro, correct?
Yeah, Waynesboro, but that's where the home base is. But it's pretty, as we know, internet now, pretty covers pretty much everywhere.
So let's go ahead and just kind of jump into what you do for the Augusta. Or give us a little history about yourself first, and then let's kind of get into what you do for the Augusta Free Press and some historical moments that maybe some of us knew or maybe some of us don't know. And then I know that with the donations, you and I had gotten into a deep conversation about kind of like where they're coming from, what's happening, how did they get here. Go ahead and lay it on us, Scott. Thank you for your time. The floor is yours.
Well, Chris, Lawrence, I'm a retired sports writer. Have worked for some local papers. I worked with Jerry Ratcliffe at the Daily Progress, and just writing part-time now, more retired, more freelance for the Augusta Free Press, and just doing UVA sports. Grew up in the Charlottesville area. Did not attend the University of Virginia, unfortunately. Made a very poor decision coming out of high school and went somewhere else. But I've always been a UVA fan. Father was connected to the university, and I've bled orange and blue since I knew what orange and blue and Wahoo was. So, I've been a very biased sports writer for some time when it comes to UVA sports. But right now, Chris Graham, who's the editor, publisher of the Augusta Free Press, also a UVA graduate, allows me to work pretty much hand in hand with him. And that's been a very fun thing to do, because Chris is about as knowledgeable about sports as any one person I've ever been around. And he's 15 years younger than me. So that's quite a compliment that I'm paying him. But I've got a lot of connections to UVA. As I said, been going to football games, started there in 83, working for the, on Saturdays on game day, football game days, working for the sports information director at the time, Rich Murray, keeping stats up in the press box the old-fashioned way, by hand and binoculars. Now they do it, of course, with iPads and AI, and I'm not sure it's any more accurate than what we were doing back in the 80s, but did that while I was finishing school, and then went into sports writing. And as I said, I've just got to know a lot of former players, got to know their families, and have just been really connected to the program since the early 80s, and we've had a lot of ups and a lot of downs. So right now it's a fun time to be covering UVA sports.
Well, I can tell you, we really appreciate you coming on, and like I said, man, I think that you are, you're a wealth, you have a wealth of knowledge, and you're just a fountain of anything you want to know about what's happening with the program, and kind of give us an idea exactly what you think about the season being 7-1, right?
Right.
Going on, and could be doing something very special, from the just kind of like from the jump. And we really didn't have an idea of what to expect. Of course, we made our season predictions as a team here, but give me an idea of what you felt coming into the season with this new landscape that we're in right now.
Well, Lawrence, the thing that I was puzzled with, and I often, and I won't say poke fun, but I often kind of scratch my head when I hear UVA fans talk about things that I just don't feel is 100% accurate. And the one thing that I felt that way about coming into the season was all this talk about what an easy schedule that Virginia had this year. And what I found really confusing about that is, how could anyone say that we had an easy schedule when the program has not been tearing things up the last 2 decades or so, and even with Coach Elliott, well below 500 in his first 3 years. So, I don't know how anybody could say it's an easy schedule for a program that has really struggled on the football field. And some of those easy games that I think people were talking about are now, they're going to be challenges. The home game against Wake, the game down at Duke this weekend, and you're traveling all the way across country to play a football game 3 time zones away, 3 hours behind us. Ask California how that worked out for them when they made the reverse trip this past weekend to play a very poor Tech team. Ask them how that worked out. So I don't buy into that we had an easy schedule.
Easy now.
Amy is our resident Hokie, just so I don't think I introduced her as that, but Amy is our resident Hokie. So,
well, no, I'm not taking, I respect the Hokie program. I know Frank Beamer. I think Frank Beamer was one of the greatest individuals on and off the field. But it's been a bad year for Tech. And they should have lost that game.
Year.
They fired the coach. Yes. California had chip shot, 48-yard field goal to win the game and missed. Nowadays, 48 yards is a chip shot. When I was cutting my teeth on football, whenever a kicker kicked one over 50, it was news breaking. But what I think that has impressed me most is that, yes, we did have an infusion of talent because we had an infusion of money that went out and bought the talent, but still, talent alone doesn't always translate to wins. And I'm impressed that with this infusion of talent, Coach Elliott has been able to win some win the close games, win 3 games in a row, 3 games now in overtime. That's pretty impressive. And I think that's what I'm most impressed with about this team is that, yes, they went out and acquired talent, but they've also done something with it.
So now that they've done something with it, and that's something that we've kind of touched on here and there, and maybe you and Chris you guys were kind of I kind of went off of the number we had all talked about as far as like what was what the number was as far as what's the amount. So before we can go a little bit further, let's kind of get into some of that. You said they got the talent and through donations, the money. Let's go ahead and start from the beginning, and then we're going to let some of the guests ask you some questions. But the money part, and the decision in November, in late November, early December, go and start from there, because there were 4 major donations that have come about from this. But you had an insight on this from the beginning up until now. So let's go ahead and hear your insight from last November, December last year.
Well, I could talk to you about that until tomorrow at this time. So I'll try to give you the cliff notes. Is that back in about September of last year, I did a column for the Augusta Free Press. I had spoke with a prominent alumni, a former player, a prominent alumni that had contributed heavily to the program. And my question to him back in September of last year was, are there enough alumni connected to the program, whether they play football or not? Is there enough of a commitment from the donor base to raise the amount of money that's now absolutely a necessity to even be somewhat competitive in this new landscape of college football? And this particular individual said, absolutely there is. There is a huge commitment to UVA football from the alumni base, not just football players, but from the business world, people that know, it's important to have a good football program. They say that the football program, the athletic program at the school is the front porch to the university. So it's important to be good, to be competitive, and that UVA would step up. And then fast forward a couple of months to what ended up being a disappointing finish to a season that started out pretty promising, and it ended down in Blacksburg getting beat around by the Hokies. Literally the next day, that group of alumni that my contacted had told me about had said, hey, enough's enough. We've either got to be all in this new landscape, or we need to be all out. We can't have 1 foot in, 1 foot out. The thing the adage that comes to my mind that I always heard about UVA football back in the 80s and 90s was that UVA football wanted to play Alabama football on Saturday, but wanted to be Harvard Monday through Friday. And you can't do that. That's not possible. Show me a school in the top 15 or 20 that's a competitive team that's going to compete for playoff berths that is Ivy League material. I mean, you can look right now, if you're looking at the top 15s, Virginia's the closest probably you're going to come to that. At one time, Stanford had a good team. Notre Dame is knocking on that academic door as well. Northwestern, but those are teams that aren't usually showing up in your AP rankings. So I think the alumni base made it very clear just a couple of weeks, maybe even less than that, after the season ended, when they got their first transformational, I think was the gift. And what we've heard in the media circles, and I don't doubt this, was that it was around $100 million, more or less. And that at first it was earmarked to be used over about an 8 to 10 year period, which if you do the quick math, that's about $10 million a year. But then they decided to, no, we're not going to put any restrictions on this. If Coach Elliott needs 25 million, 30 million, let's let him have it. Let's do whatever we can do to put the best talent on the field for the 2025 season. And we'll find out if Coach Elliott can coach with the talent level being upped considerably. Well, so fast forward again to where we are now. Obviously, he's pushing the right buttons. The team's 7-1, won 3 overtime games in a row. And meanwhile, the smart alumni that obviously Virginia has looked at Scott Stadium, and the Washington State game, Lawrence, we were there. The Florida State game, probably the Wake game, I'm hearing is going to be close to a sellout. The Tech game will definitely be a sellout. They realize that, hey, there is a return on investment in these donations. So since then, I think they've gotten a couple of more. I don't know exactly the amount. I've heard numbers of $40 to $50 million, and I think the alumni has finally seen that winning football games at UVA is the cure for a lot of the problems. You put a winning team on the field, and all of a sudden, Scott Stadium that was sitting there half empty is now, close to being full on any given game.
So with this donation this last time through, right? Give us an idea,
which was about a week ago.
Right. Give us an idea of what this last donation was about and how it came about, and how you and Chris were kind of like some of the first reporters on the scene who knew about this. Kind of give us an idea of how that came about and what you knew about it.
Well, being in the media, being in the press box, Lawrence, you've been up. There's a lot of people come and go in there, a lot of people that are insiders. And when you've developed these relationships for as long as we have, you talk to people, and you become to know, and you begin to understand these folks know what they're talking about, and these folks are just spitting off stuff on the top of their head. It could be true, could be not. But from what we gathered just a week or so ago, that the commitment to UVA football was not a 1-year deal. It was numerous alumni and growing by the day of alumni, supporters, donors that like what they see. And they also understand, and here's the real difficult thing, especially for someone that I call myself old school UVA media.
Ed is going to appreciate this. Go ahead, Ed, because you and Ed.
When I followed, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead. No, I was just saying we have someone who calls themselves old schools as well, and this is Ed. Ed, and you'll Ed will ask you a question. You guys will really hit it off because y'all are both baseball guys too. But go ahead and continue. I'm sorry to interrupt.
So Lawrence and Ed, when the bulk of my early coverage of UVA football was with Coach Groh, and I knew some of the assistant coaches very well. When I was in high school, Coach Danny Wilmer was our high school football coach. I did not play high school football, full disclaimer there, but I knew Danny. I've known Danny since 1975. He just passed away this past spring. Danny was probably the best recruiter. In fact, he was named the top recruiter in the country on two separate years. When I was following early on in Virginia football, if you had a turnover class of 18 to 20 on any given year, that was considered pretty heavy, pretty large, to think that you got to go out and replace 18 or 20 players. What we're seeing now with the transfer portal and NIL has an effect too, is that every year you're going to have to face the fact that you're going to be replacing probably 40 to 50 players every single year. And that's just how that's sustainable. I'm yet to figure out. And it's also, you're not going to be able to get $100 million donation and go through 40 million of it on 1 year's payroll, however you want to call paying the players. I call it a payroll because that's basically what it is. You've got to raise that money every single year, because Virginia's going to lose about 40 players this year by my count, maybe more. So we're going to have another huge offseason in the portal to even come close to this year's schedule. And then next year's schedule, again, I don't like to use the word easy, but it's certainly, Clemson's probably going to be on that schedule. Miami's probably going to be on it. Tech's going to be better. It's going to be a more challenging schedule. So the money has to come in every single year. It can't be a 1-year deal and then people expect it goes back to where UVA is recruiting on the basis of, oh, come to Virginia, get a great education. That's not the way it works anymore. It's a pay for play game, and the donor money that comes in has to come in every single year. And apparently that's what the folks at Virginia are telling us, is that once this game turned into a money game, a legal money game, not the old Southwest Conference where the players would just find a bag of money on a park bench. Now that it's completely above board to pay the players, when that landscape changed, Virginia became all of a sudden a major player in this world of college football.
Well, I can tell you, we definitely seems like we're seeing a this happening and the results of it. Now, I've just still getting used to seeing this, getting used to this landscape of, oh man, they're getting this amount, they're getting that amount, and it seems like it's only going to get higher. But I'm just kind of sitting here thinking, Virginia has always been known for its education, and what you get, when you come to the school from that standpoint. But they got state of the art. They have a state of the art facility now, and facilities, because they're still building. If you go on the grounds, you see the cranes, among the mountains, among the what do we call that? I guess we'll call it a skyline. The Charlottesville skyline. You see cranes everywhere, because they're building large buildings, facilities. There's money pouring in from somewhere, and you're seeing the results of it. But these are the things you have to have if you're going to recruit, big time, in the world of football. Also, you think about, the way that schools like Alabama, they've already have had this stuff, but you and I were talking the other day. You're saying, if you think about all the schools in the SEC from a financial standpoint, none of them can hold a candle to what UVA can possibly produce and what they currently have. Did you want to elaborate on some of that?
Well, Lawrence, if you're talking about alumni base and the ability for the alumni to donate money, Virginia's going to be at the top of the list. In the SEC, they're going to be very close to the top of the list of the Big Ten. The only school in the Big Ten that probably has a donor, let's call it a donor power of raising money, might be Michigan and Ohio State. And Michigan, because Michigan's got 55,000 undergrads, Ohio State close to that. The SEC is a lot of land grant schools that don't have that powerful, financially wealthy alumni base. You're talking about the land grant schools, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. Oh my gosh, you've got some powerhouses too, as we know, Georgia, LSU, Alabama. But if Virginia were to be in the SEC, which there's heavy speculation, that's the direction of this, is where this is going. Virginia's not going to, they're not going to play second fiddle to anyone in the SEC. That's for sure. So in terms of ability to raise money and in terms of facilities.
Wow. That's very interesting to hear. You probably would have never thought 4 or 5 years ago that UVA would compete in any way with an SEC school. So let's do this. I'm going to open it up to some of my co-hosts here. I'm going to give Ed the first shot at you, let you guys chop it up. Ed, go ahead and ask Scott a question, bro.
Hey, Law's just afraid I'm going to nod off, so he's letting me go first. No, he's right. I am the old head of the group. I'm so old. I remember when we were talking about the replacement for Sonny Randall. So I've been around a while. I never thought I would see Virginia paying players legally or otherwise. The biggest scandal they had up until, well, actually probably the only real scandal they've had was when Virginia Student Athletic Foundation was paying for kids to take visits home, to go attend grandma's funeral, that sort of thing. It's not much of a scandal, but it's all we had.
Well, and they weren't really even doing that. They weren't really even doing that.
They were loans.
The athletic, they were loans, except they found out that they were interest-free loans. So the caveat to that is they weren't just handing them money. They expected payment, but back in those days, that was also one of those 6,986 rules that the NCAA had that said you can't do that. So
it was nuts. My question is this: this is sort of a cause of mine. I think it was last week or week before last. I saw a statistic about how many. I think it was 5 or 6 of the preseason top 25 were already out of the top 25. Do you think we'll ever have a day where common sense comes in and we wait until, say, I don't know, the first Sunday in October before we start doing polling?
I think you're going to see that, because especially now that the roster turnover for every school is enormous every year. Ranking these teams that early in the season is you could let a 6-year-old pull names out of a hat, and it would probably have as much credibility. I think what you're going to see is that they're not going to do rankings until probably the first week in October, and similar to the way they're going to announce. I think the college football playoff rankings will come out like next week, I believe. Is that right, Lawrence? You might know about more.
I thought it'd be it's either this weekend or next weekend.
It's soon, but I think the rationale behind that is there's no sense in putting that ranking out the first week in September, because the teams have so many new faces. You just don't know how it's going to transition from the portal to the spring ball, and some of these players aren't even in school in spring ball. They don't roll into summer. So I think I think the credible polls are going to realize to maintain credibility, they're going to have to hold out until about October 1st.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Let me come to you, AB. Let me let you get a shot with Scott. Hey, I think that's what you said. You're going to shot with Scott. Go ahead, AB.
Here we go.
So my question might be, I don't know, I guess a little blunt, a little harsh. So the way that it is perceived is that Tony Elliott doesn't care about the alum. Obviously, without giving names, these donations, are these coming from former alum? Because for former football alums to be buying into the program, you would think that Elliott would want to buy in a little bit more to alums. From my understanding, he's not even like helping alums with tickets anymore or anything like that. So what's a little bit of your feedback on that?
I could not disagree more on that. From what I've seen, and I know a lot of the alumni, and they gather every game, and it's growing by the numbers. They gather right behind Bryant Hall. I'm invited to a lot of the tailgates. Sometimes it's 100, sometimes it's more of former players. I think the time requirements on a head coach now are so overwhelming that to think they can sit down at their desk and email players and email former players, to think that they can just do that randomly, that's probably, not very accurate, or that's probably unreasonable expectations. From what I have noticed is that the former players have a good relationship with Elliott, but more importantly is they have the relationship with the school, because coaches come and go. whether they're fired, whether they move up. I mean, I wrote a column today. The Atlantic Coast Conference is likely to lose 2 successful head coaches this year. They're going to probably lose Jeff Brom at Louisville. He's going to get with all these high power jobs coming open. To think Brom stays at Louisville is probably pretty foolish. I would expect Brent Key to be a top candidate to go to an LSU, maybe a Penn State. And there's going to be some other jobs open. Florida State job's going to come open at the end of the season. So alumni don't exactly connect with the coach as much as they do with the program, because coaches come, coaches go. It's kind of like the same with I can assure you, the basketball alumni, many of them connected with Coach Bennett, but Coach Bennett didn't exactly, reach out to older alumni players that he never coached that well either. But the program still, the alumni from what I can tell is supporting the school more so than supporting the current head coach, because the current head coach is just that. He's current. They come, they go, and you commit to the program, to building the program, so that if you do lose a coach, you're attractive enough of a program that you can replace him with an equally as good of a coach.
All right. Great question and great answer, everyone.
I mean, I don't think I answered it the way she was expecting, but to be honest, what I'm seeing was, I'm not, former alumni respect him. He runs a good program. The first year that he was there, with the tragedy of our 3 players, of which I knew all 3 of those, I volunteered at the university as a mentor, and they were all in my group. All 3 of those players, I spoke to them on the Thursday before the game, that they lost their lives on early Sunday morning. Coach Elliott inherited a disaster there, just an unspeakable tragedy. That I don't think a lot of people realize the toll it took on the program.
Right. So let's do this. Let me get another host in here. Wood, let me get you in. Let's get your shot at Scott.
Hey, Scott. Yeah, I'll kind of piggyback on AB's question a little bit. Why was the decision made this previous offseason to let's go all in, with the money, with the recruits? Let's throw everything in this year. We had great teams under Bronco Mendenhall without the great money. We were in the Orange Bowl ACC championship under Bronco. So what happened? Was it just a big donation that changed everything? I mean, I'm sure we had big money before that. So why this past offseason did, hey, let's donate this money, let's go all in this year?
Well, I think a couple of reasons. First of all, you got to remember, coaching has changed since Bronco Mendenhall was there. Bronco didn't deal with the NIL. Bronco didn't deal with the transfer portal. And now that the schools can directly pay the players. Those are situations that Bronco did not have to deal with. It's a completely different era of college football. It almost happened overnight. It happened almost over between one season to another. I think legally, the thought process about being all in one year, this year, was that you give the coach, you give his staff, his general manager, his player development, you give them the money they need to significantly up the talent level. And what that does is you find out right away if the head coach can coach a team that's got significantly more talent. If And I think the bar from what I was told, and I believe this to be true, was that if this with this transfusion of money, if this program didn't win 7 games and one of those 7 games was not Virginia Tech, then they would probably move on and pay Coach Elliott his buyout and move on. So far, so good. 7-1. Still got 4 games left. So hopefully things don't go south on us. But I think that was the sense of urgency to determine whether Elliott was an X's and O's coach with talent. We knew the record. We knew the what his record was 3 years prior to that, but there's no denying the talent level on this program this season is generations ahead of what we had here last year.
Oh, good question. Good answer. Let me come to you, Amy. You get the last question with Scott.
So,
we got our Hokie fan on board now, huh?
of course,
Yep.
you have to have a person of reason amongst all the crazy. So,
Okay.
So what's your job?
Yeah. So where do you fit in here?
I'm the reason sometimes.
You're the reason we're drinking. That's the reason.
That's right. I'm not drinking tonight. All right. So here's I have an observation, and only because I've had a conversation with a couple people in the last 3-4 weeks about all this. There has been talk of the NCAA realigning all of the conferences because California, SMU, Stanford, they're all complaining and bitching about the cost of the traveling. It's cutting into their money for NIL and their players and blah, blah, blah. So, do you think and I think you've answered part of this, that UVA wants to be an SEC school? Do you think it would be UVA, UNC, or Duke that goes to the SEC? And then what happens to the rest of the ACC? Do they go back? Do they go to the Big Ten? Does it get does everything get put into a pot and it's more economical? Because all this in the field of business that I work in, on a daily basis, I'm seeing 10 to 12 businesses going out of business, filing a restructuring bankruptcies. Bonefish, one of them, they just closed up on Sunday. So I don't know that you're going to get $200 and $300 and $400 million every year to get this kind of talent. So the money's going to have to come from somewhere, and I'm assuming that and you're going to have to cut things like the traveling from one end of the country to the other. What do you think is really happening?
Well, I think that first of all, no one, let me just start by saying no one twisted Cal and Stanford and SMU. No one twisted their arm to become members of the ACC. In fact, they gave up their revenue part of the deal for 8 to 10 years just so they would have a home, because the Pac-12, their former home, was completely ripped apart by the Big 12 and the Big 10. Big 10 taking 4 teams. The Big 12, I think, took 4. And all this is controlled by the TV networks, Fox, ESPN. That's who's running this whole show. The schools can pretend that they are making decisions based on what's best for the individual schools, but they're making decisions on what's best for their bottom line. So I think what you're going to see is that you're going to see a consolidation of conferences, maybe down to two, possibly three, with the Big 12 maybe trying to be maintaining a grip. The Big 10 will probably add a couple of more teams. The SEC will probably add two more teams, maybe four. I don't know if that's. I'm hearing 2 to 4, and it's all based on the television side of it, because Virginia and North Carolina are very desirable to the SEC because it expands their footprint. The SEC right now goes up to South Carolina with the University of South Carolina, goes into Kentucky with Kentucky, goes into Tennessee with Vanderbilt, but they want to push north to get those two lucrative markets: the state of Virginia and the state of North Carolina. The state of North Carolina gives them about 8.5 to 9 million more potential TV viewers. The state of Virginia gives them about 7 or 8. Virginia is also able to claim to Northern Virginia, the DC market as well. So UVA and North Carolina are very lucrative to the SEC. Plus, they're two great schools. Academically, they're great. Facilities wise, they're great. It makes sense for those two to go together into the SEC. So I look, and the payouts are just astronomically higher than what the ACC is currently paying and what the ACC will be able to pay when all of this dust is settled. I think what's going to happen is Virginia, Carolina will probably go to the SEC. Duke, Georgia Tech, I'm hearing possibly to the Big 10. And then the Big 12 will probably take a few of the leftovers. I don't mean to use that word derogatory, but just the Big 12 will probably want State. Big 12 will probably want Virginia Tech. The Big 12 will probably love Pittsburgh. You take the Big 12 and all of a sudden you add Pittsburgh, maybe Louisville, NC State to go along with West Virginia. That's a really good pod of teams that they can place. They can play each other in football, play each other in basketball, cuts down on their travel expenses. Tech will have a landing spot, and it'll most likely be in the Big 12. And those schools that aren't gobbled up by the SEC and the Big 10 will be remaining in the ACC, and the ACC will add some new teams. The ACC, just like the Pac-12, will be reincarnated next year. The ACC will probably add schools like South Florida, Memphis, Tulane. Whether or not they're going to garner the necessary revenue if they're going to be that desirable for the ESPNs and Foxes of the world, I don't think they will be, but it'll still be lucrative enough for the schools to want to join that conference.
Wow. Scott dropping jewels, giving us all different types of insight behind.
And these are just my opinion. I'm not here. I am hearing a little bit towards with people that I trust that are telling me that, but a lot of this is just my insight as to having followed the program. And the old saying goes is follow the money. And the money in college football is in the SEC and the Big 10.
And the other thing too is, I don't know that you can get North Carolina if you don't take Duke and UNC together, because there's too much of a rivalry with that. There's too much history, and having a conversation with someone that is in ACC television arena, I guess is what you want to call it. Their comment was Duke and North Carolina built the ACC. That's their opinion, and that one's not going to go anywhere without the other. And that's why I was asking if North Carolina went, is the ACC completely washed away?
No, it won't be. But I do also know that Duke and North Carolina will be separated. The state legislature is not going to hold a private school and a state school. They're not going to. In other words, the SEC does not want Duke. The Big Ten may. I'm not sure. But Duke brings nothing from the standpoint of a television market, because if you get North Carolina, you get the entire state of North Carolina. You don't need Duke to come along with you. Duke would be just an extra mouth to feed in the SEC, and they're not looking for extra. They're looking for schools that will bring something to the table. And the University of North Carolina brings them 8 million TV viewers. The University of Virginia brings them about 11 million TV viewers, if you count the DC area. So they can still be rivals. They'll play each other in basketball. I'm not sure they'll play each other twice, but whether they're in the same conference or not. I go way back to the old NFL days when I first started following the NFL. My team, the Baltimore Colts, were a member of the National Football Conference. And when they switched to the AFC, I thought that was the end of that. The Colts are doomed. They won't be able to play their old rival. Well, gradually things worked out, and things will work out for Duke and Carolina. They'll still play in basketball. They'll probably play a game in football. And it's just, I don't see Carolina and Duke being forced to remain in the ACC when the ACC is going to be so low on the totem pole when it comes to revenue that they're going to pay their individual schools.
Wow. More knowledge from Scott German.
I mean, does anyone agree or disagree?
No, I agree. I think if the SEC takes Duke, you're taking them basically for basketball.
Right.
And is that enough?
If basketball's not driving the bus.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's really, and I can't, having been in a similar situation not too long ago, I gotta believe that if Duke got a chance, they would have no trouble cutting Carolina's throat, and vice versa.
Absolutely.
I mean, would Roy Williams leave Coach K's twisting in the wind? You better believe it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I might hold the rope for him, but it really doesn't make sense to take Duke unless you're doing it just for basketball, and I don't think that's enough reason.
No, this entire mess that we're in realignment is strictly because of football. It has nothing to do with basketball. In fact, there could be a day where schools are aligned differently for basketball than they are football.
Oh God, I'll never keep that straight.
I'm not, neither will I. I hope I'm long gone before that happens. But the realignment that we're talking about is strictly football driven.
Wow. More knowledge, man. This has been great, man. This is a
wait a minute. He dropped a little hand grenade in here. I want to go back. The FSU job will be open at the end of the season.
I caught that too.
Thank you. I thought maybe it was just me, but
no, I caught it.
Details.
What was that?
I think it's common sense. To be open.
The FSU job?
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm just saying. I agree. It's common sense. They're 3-4. They started the season in the top 5 in the nation. They've been an embarrassment since. And if you look at their remaining schedule, there's at least 2 more losses on there, maybe 3. They're just not doing what they should do and get an early start on.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Why not? If you're going to do it at the end of the year, why wait?
I don't know. But there's no way that Norvell maintains his job. I mean, 3-4 right now, and they're likely going to end up 5-7 or something, 4-8. That's not going to. He's not going to be around next season.
No, they got smoked by was it Miami?
Yeah, there's too many people that have been fired already.
Yep, for him to survive.
There's a lot, and there is nobody other than Lane Kiffin, in my opinion, would go either to LSU or to FSU. I mean, there ain't anybody willing to take that job.
I'm thinking that the reason
James Franklin would.
The FSU job has not been opened already is that they have been having talks with an undisclosed coach that they want to move to, and they're just not tipping their hat right now.
Go ahead, Wood. What were you saying?
Is his name James Franklin?
Like to Florida State?
Yeah.
I mean, that's possible.
Ed, mute your mic.
I got you. Go ahead. He said it's possible. Okay.
I think that Florida State, if that job comes up, this is another factor that's affecting our friends down in Blacksburg. The more of these high-profile jobs come open, the tech job is now slowly moving down the list. When they first fired Pry, UCLA fired their coach. Well, UCLA and Virginia Tech were the two open jobs, and by de facto, they were the two best jobs. Now, all of a sudden, you've got Penn State, LSU. You're likely to going to have Florida State at the end of the season and a ton more. This is probably going to dictate that Tech goes in a direction of hiring someone, not to say they're not qualified, but hiring someone a little bit under the radar and not pinning their hopes to getting a James Franklin or someone like that, because
Franklin has been on a visit, just FYI.
Yeah, well, I think if I were Tech, I would be worried about a coach coming in like that, because I think they would be coming in to just be there 2 or 3 years and recreate themselves.
Wow.
If I were Tech, I'd be looking right now down in Harrisonburg at the JMU coach.
That's who I want. That's who I have told.
And the JMU athletic director.
Correct.
Package deal.
Hush y'all's mouse.
Gone.
Every time
I hope they hire another bum from Penn State. That'd be great.
Let my JMU squad keep their people, man. Oh.
Well, let's do this, y'all. Let's get into, and you can hang around, Scott, man. We appreciate you hanging and giving us all this information. We're about to do the good, the bad, the ugly.
I'm going to let you talk. I'm going to just sit in the background and listen now.
Okay. Cool. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, come hang out with us. So let's do our good, the bad, the ugly turbo style team. And we're going to talk about the game last week. And I'm going to start with you, Ed. Good, the bad, the ugly from last week for last week's game against North Carolina.
The good's pretty straightforward. We won. The bad, it was one thing when it was, it was Louisville, or it was, one game here and there. We're starting to see a pattern as far as the offense goes, and I mean, I know they're crowding the box. I know they're walking people up into the A gap, but if they're walking people into the A gap, there's got to be something else, because you still only get to play 11. So that's a concern. As far as the ugly, tackling, the turnovers, they were pretty ugly. The other good I might throw in is, and this is maybe just as telling, the punter. The punter came through big a couple of times on Saturday, flipping the field, and it's like having your safety be your leading tackler. It's never a good thing when your punter is singled out for contributing to the team.
Okay.
So,
all right. Let me come to you, C. Wood. Good, the bad, the ugly from past weekend.
No, I mean, I think like Ed said, the good was you found a way to win the game. Um, Also, the good, like you said, was the punter. I think he was probably the player of the game. The bad was, I have to say, Chandler Morris. I don't know. I don't know what happened. He was hurt. I really don't know. But some of the throws he was making, some of the decisions he made, it was like
I
it
think
wasn't
that
just him.
shoulders bothered him more than he lets on.
Yeah, I think so too. And then he took another shot on Saturday,
Yeah,
which
and he
I
tried to tackle Lee with that left shoulder.
right. He's just making stupid plays, and he's not running out of bounds. He's taking shots. He's trying to tackle people on interceptions when he doesn't need to. So I think the bad. I hate to say Chandler Morris is bad, but that game was just bad. It made me think about um, crazy shit about throwing the game and betting and all that. But I won't get into it. But yeah, the bad. I mean, he was definitely bad. I mean, he made certain plays when we needed to, and then I guess the ugly was just. I don't know. I would say overall the whole game was ugly. We shouldn't have. I mean, honestly, we were what 12
No,
points
you're
early at
right.
one point.
You got a point. You got a point.
No, I just say just the whole game Saturday was ugly. I mean, offensively we were ugly. Chandler was ugly. The defense were ugly. Tackling and missing tackles. Like I said, the only positive was the punter.
Thank
But
God for the punt.
but to the credit, we found a way to win that game. But
Yeah,
we can't keep. This is not sustainable. We can't keep going to overtime and winning ball games. I think there was 3 out of the last 5 games we won in overtime. Like eventually, we're not going to make that play. We're not going to get to the half inch that we need. So
Right,
hey,
right.
we'll take the win and we'll chalk it up. But we can't keep relying on close games, and we shouldn't. It shouldn't be a close game with those guys. The last 2 games shouldn't be close.
let's
I hear
bring
you,
back the
man.
single wing.
I got you now, AB. Good, the bad, the ugly.
So I'm gonna actually, mine's a little different. I think that the good and the bad like goes hand in hand, which is our defense. I think defensively we had a hard time stopping them, and I think that we made a lot of really bad like penalty mistakes that just stupid stuff that should have never happened. However, again, the defense wins the game for us. They make a huge play that gave us the win. Um, so it's kind of bittersweet because it's like, well, they helped us win the game, but at the same time, they were part of the situation where we allowed North Carolina to get in scoring position so many times. Um, but they had some turnovers. They did have some good stops, but it was after we gave up momentum time and time again. So it's very bittersweet to say our defense was the good and the bad. I mean, there was just so much bad, but then there was some really good things about it too. Um, the ugly is just our it's sad because we know, and I agree. I think Chandler has an injury that is worse than what he's putting on. But at the same time, like he needs to be honest with himself, and so does the coaching staff, because if he is not able to perform, then and he's only making himself worse, he shouldn't be out there. And it's scary. The ugly thing about that too, Law, you and I talked about it. It's scary to think that if he's injured and we're still playing him, does that mean we don't have faith in our second string? That's ugly. That's an ugly thought too. Um,
Hmm.
so I have a lot of mixed emotions. I'm so happy we got the win. I'm I'm not going to say it was luck because at the end of the day, like the defense made a huge play. But we can't keep putting ourselves in those positions, and we've got to find a way to win games straight out and put an end to it and keep moving on to the next week, because we just can't keep ending in overtime like this.
Absolutely right. That's a good statement there. And let me finish up with you, Amy. Good, the bad, the ugly.
I did not even watch any game. So just, I have no clue. I was not here. I was at a trunk or treat all day. I was didn't even I may have watched 5 minutes of the Virginia Tech game, and then I just switched it to the baseball game. It's World Series. I'm not missing World
For these
Series.
couple weeks, I get it. You're not into it. You're out. So let's do this. Let's give our predictions really quick, and let's see what we got, y'all. So I'm gonna come right back to you, Amy. You got a
So
prediction for the game?
who is UVA playing?
They are playing Cal
Yeah.
on the road.
I think they're going to lose, and I hate to say it, but I agree with.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do. I agree with the gentleman that said Cal. Cal really. Dylan told me, he's like, I cannot believe we are going to lose this game to Cal after they traveled across the country, and I think that's going to be a big, huge issue. And if y'all's quarterback is hurt and nobody knows about it, and they don't have any faith in the second string, I think UVA loses this week. But I think it's only by 3 points. So I'm going to say 24-21 Cal.
24-21 Cal. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Amy. Amy gave us her analysis. Now let me get to you, Ed. Give me your prediction, player of the game, and score prediction. Oh, hold on, Ed. Hold on, Ed. Hold on.
Okay.
There you go. Go ahead. I got you. Go ahead.
I said, hopefully, the player of the game is not the punter. Let's see. I keep waiting for Taylor to have another big game. I keep waiting for the running game to have another game. I think that's going to have a lot to do with it. If we can run the ball, if Virginia wins, it's going to be because of one of the running backs. I think we're depending too much on quarterback, and somebody else has got to step up. And yeah, I understand they're putting 8 in the box and 9 in the box. Figure something out. If they're putting 9 in the box, there's got to be an opening somewhere else. Find it. I'll say 27-23 Virginia.
27-23 Virginia. Player of the game?
Taylor.
Taylor. All right. Chad Wood, coming to you. Give me your prediction, player of the game.
Yeah, we're traveling across the country, but we're not bad as Tech, so that won't be a problem.
Ouch.
Virginia wins 31-23, and the player of the game is Cam Ross. He's back.
Cam Ross. Okay. Yeah, he was chomping at the bit to get out there as well. And I'm coming to you, AB. Player of the game and score prediction.
So I think it's going to be a lot closer. Just because I'm hope I'm wrong. I hope I am dead wrong. But traveling across the country, we haven't been 100%. We haven't had an explosive offense, more recently. I'm gonna say. I originally was gonna say UVA loss because I feel like there's a loss still in the season left. Um, but I'm gonna say 2014 UVA.
Okay. All right. My prediction, player of the game. Who do you think player of the game is?
Um, I'm gonna go with Edrin. Jamal Edrin.
Jamal Edger. All right. My prediction is 31-24 University of Virginia. Player of the game is Cam. Cam Robinson, and that's my guy. And I think that he's going to have another one of these big plays, and it's probably going to be game sealing. So I'm going with the defense. That's what we've been riding that for the last few weeks, and I'm going to continue to ride it. And Cam Robinson is my guy, and I think that's what's going to happen. Before we go, this is Halloween coming up this weekend. Everybody, make sure you drive safe. Make sure you slow down on the road. We got little kiddies walking around, trying to get candy. But we got to make sure as adults we be responsible and be safe and drive like we have some sense. But before we go, everybody, I want to get your favorite candy before I close this out for Halloween. Wood, favorite candy for Halloween?
Got to be the Reese Cups.
Got to be the Reese Cups. Wood, that's one for the Reese Cups. Let me come to you, AB. Favorite candy for Halloween?
Right now, I'm on a Nerds gummy cluster kick, so I'm gonna say Nerds gummy clusters.
Nerds gummy clusters. I love it. Amy, come to you. Favorite Halloween candy?
So we had 400 trick or treaters at this trunk or treat that I did. And I got rid of 20 bags, large bags from BJ's. And the majority of the kids loved but my favorite is a Butterfinger. But the majority of the kids love the little miniature Skittles and Sour Patch Kids.
Okay, but yours is Butterfinger.
Butterfinger or $100,000 grand bar.
Okay, all right. Ed, give me.
Yo,
Ed's gonna say something like the 100,000 grand bar or the. What is your favorite candy, Ed?
no,
Halloween.
you want to take a guess, or you want me to just tell you?
Nah, tell me, man. Tell me.
Heath Bar.
Oh man, that's my 2 seed. That's my two
I
seed.
love a Heath
Yeah, that's
bar
if I
too.
had to pick chocolate. If I
Score.
had to pick chocolate, it would be a Score or a Heath.
Yeah, Score or
Yeah.
Heath, man. Those that's my number 2 seed. That yeah, Ed. No, everybody wants to jump on mine.
Sometimes the old fart knows what he's talking about. It doesn't happen often, but
My favorite, Snicker bar. Okay.
oh, a solid choice. Solid
Snicker bar.
choice.
Gotta have the Snickers. But yeah, but I can tell you, viewers and listeners, thank you for tuning in. Thank you to my man Scott German for jumping on. I do have some other guests coming on. I think I'm gonna get Jerry Ratcliffe, legendary Hall of Fame writer Jerry Ratcliffe, and a few others. I know we've had 3 or 4 uh, uh, people in the press box that are just legends in the press box in their own right on this year, and we're going to continue to get more more guests on, and our host to help bring on some more folks. But we got to thank all of you for hanging out and spending some time with us. But as of now, this shop is closed. Thank you guys. We appreciate it. Wahoo, and let's make sure we tune in for this game. West Coast, so it'll be 12 o'clock their time, their body clock, 12:45, whatever. And let's see how the team plays.
I
Thank
will
you,
be in
guys.
Florida at a wedding.
Oh my goodness, listen to you.
Oh,
And
Thank you, guys.
I will be flying back on Tuesday. So if I get online, it'll be either in an airport